Spelman?
Yeah, how did it affect the writing? Your writing? Or did it?
It did. I think Spelman is where I first announced that I wanted to be a writer. The long story is that I was dating, there was a boy, and there was a boy at Morehouse who I liked, and no one wanted to hear me talk about him. So I had to take to the page to talk about him. And it amazed me how you can think something and look at the page and it's there. The way you felt it, the way you heard it in your head, and you can get it out, and you could even say it out loud after it was written, and it was as it existed in your head. Like you can, that fascinated me, that I could put things out into the world as they were in my head.
How would you define freelance writing?
Hustling. Period.
And what prepares you for freelance writing?
Nothing. Freelancing is like, it's like, I don't, let's say this, I don't know any drug dealers like personally, right? But I imagine if you sat down with, a top hustler, right? And you said, how do you do it? He would say, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Like he would be vague and ambiguous, and he probably doesn't even know how everything comes together. And I feel like that's how when you sit down with other freelancers and you ask them, how do you do it? It's like, it's a little bit of this, it's a little bit of that. Like it's one of those things where a religious person would say the grace of God kind of keeps you, things they come together and they don't, and you're just kind of winging it. You're winging it. I started off as an intern at Ms. magazine. Then I interned again at Essence magazine and started working there shortly thereafter. From Essence, I worked at Esquire. Then I worked at Redbook. And while I was at Redbook, I got an opportunity to write with the Oprah magazine. And because it was a competitor of Redbook's, I would have had to say no to it as an employee, as working with Redbook. But I didn't want to say no because I wanted to write for O. And so I took a leap. I quit my job to write this one story for O with this hope that it would turn into more stories. And it has, not as consistently as, the work hasn't been as consistent as I would have liked it to be. But that's the thing that I wasn't prepared for. I wasn't prepared for the inconsistent work, paying your bills, and managing your money when you're only getting a couple checks every couple of months. So that's been the really tough part about freelancing, has really been the money thing. And the hustling comes in because there's some work that comes to you because of the relationships that I've built working with other magazines. But a lot of the work you have to chase. You have to pitching a lot of story ideas. And for every 10 story ideas you pitch, you get maybe not even one assignment, but one response saying, this could be something. So there's just a lot of uncertainty, but you have to put yourself out there. It's knowing that you have to put yourself out there and you might not get anything in return.
Yes, who's the audience that you're writing to, or who's reading what you're writing?
It depends. I write for myself a lot, honestly. Or I heard once that, I don't know if this is true, but I heard that when Toni Morrison wrote The Bluest Eye, she wrote it because it was a book that she wanted to read that she couldn't find. And one of the things I try to keep in mind when I'm writing is that when you read magazines, sometimes there's a voice you want to hear that you don't, or there's a place you want an article to go that it doesn't. And so when I'm writing, you have the say what you're going to say, then say what you want to hear if you were reading it. You know what I mean? And I think I have both of those conversations going in my head at the same time. This is Penny Wrenn, and another bridge has just been drawn.